So the conversation is about um, you're already in leadership. I repeat, you're already in leadership. You're a keynote speaker. You are hosting workshops, events around the world, and you're already successful. By, I think, most people's standards, you are successful. And yet, you know that there are topics that you are hungry to discuss on camera, in conversations, in meetings, with your event attendees, with colleagues, etc., other people who you're looking to impact, influence, monetize, and be respected by. And that next wave, right? Because you're already in the wave of success. So that next wave where it becomes very personal, right? This being able to go from where you are now to playing small. Let me just actually articulate this very clearly. You are playing small, even in your success. You are playing small. And your desire is to play big. And your definition of playing big is actually talking about the things that you know it's time for you to talk about to create or cause the impact that you're looking to cause. Okay? In the domain of power and the nuances of power, in the domain of, let me be careful. I'll tell you in a minute what happened with TikTok yesterday. Um, the power that was squashed in women a long time ago, that one, right? And like, see, I mean, the fact that we even know that if we say these words, if we say them too many times, if these systems here pick up on it, they will, okay? It's baked in. It's so insidious, it's baked in. So you're playing small, not talking about what you're ready to talk about, what you need to talk about, what you know will not only be more impactful and transformational for you and everybody involved on so many levels, including financial, right? So the smallness around that and the success is crossing the bridge over with my mentorship to actually start talking about these things in a very intentional, focused way using TikTok as a platform. I wish I could pause. I know I can pause TikTok, but I can't pause Facebook. Hold on one second. I want to do something. And so I like to talk about how I see that happening. So, hold on one second. So, the reason why you constantly, if you're new to me, this may be your first time hearing this, but the reason why I'm constantly talking about shadow gold is because as a woman, it brings you home to where you start with any action. It's sort of like the tree has roots and everything sources from that, right? There's earth, and all of us source from earth. Everybody to produce everything we source from earth. Shadow gold is earth, okay? So when you are a woman in leadership, when you are looking to do whatever it is that you're looking to do, you're looking to speak powerfully on TikTok about topics that choke you in the throat, you're scared to talk about, right? You have all these creative ideas that you can see and feel so deeply, and they make you cry and you feel so passionately about them. But then when it comes time to act, you freeze, okay? You you want to be courageous and confident in the next, not even just the next several moves in your life, but forever. You want to create security for yourself. I mean, these are the things women are telling me. You have recently left a marriage, you have recently left a big, high paying corporate job, but yet and still, so much of you feels like a little girl. You don't trust your decision making. You feel guilty about mistakes you've made. You have teenage children and small children watching your behavior, watching your energy, watch the way you talk, watch your decision making. And yet and still, while you're doubting your decision making, feeling guilty about the choices you've made, doubting your every move, do you see how that could waste so much of your time? I was talking to a client yesterday who's going to be 50 in January, and I'm on my menstrual cycle, and yesterday was day two. And typically on day one and day two, I take it super easy. I don't physically move much. I take it super easy. So I was in my robe and just feeling, she and I were talking about the body, and it was just such a good time for me to even be having this call with her. And she was also at the end of her menstrual cycle. And I was talking to her because she has sort of said in a way that these feelings that she was having and things that were coming through during her menstrual cycle, she sort of talked about some things in a dismissive way. And as women, I already know that we so often dismiss our sacredness because of the system of things. I mean, it's no coincidence that there's so much shame and mysticism around sexuality for women. I've said this before. There is a museum in Germany right now. There are laws put in place for women who were actual women. I say she knew her body. She was in relationship with her body. This is why men are so they're like they want you to have a low body count. This is why, and they think it's just about purity and like I don't want nobody to have had her. But and anyway, this is not about males. This is not about them. This is about a lot of us. We just live this way because it's always been this way. And I know I'm only supposed to be here for 15 minutes, but um, and this is why I've just been so bothered because my question to her was, how do we serve a lot of women in an affordable way? Because not just Black women, but women, we are so not in our power. We are so not in our power. And it starts in the body. But so many of us feel like our body is a sin. We don't even like the smell of our puss, Pussy. We don't look at it. A lot of us, maybe that's not you, right? But I used to be, I still am. I just don't market myself as such. But I made my first $200,000 online as a master sex shame healer. And I have my own systems for healing my own sexual trauma. So I know I have personal experience and I have front row seat experience of what it looks like for women to the source of our lying. You know how I talk about how we lie all the time and we actually believe our own lies. I can just look at a woman and I can just see. I just know. Especially if you put a woman next to a man, you can see it really good. And I have so much empathy around it. I don't blame us. I mean, this stuff, the roots of this started long before you and I and our great 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 grandmothers got here. The roots of this thing, of why we deny the sacred time of our menstrual system. Now, plenty of women know that that's sacred and they treat it as such. Thank you for the hearts, whoever that is. So plenty of women know that the menstrual time is a sacred time and they treat it as such. But most of us are like, oh, we dread that it's coming. We complain about all the symptoms. We abhor it while it's here. And we're oh so glad when that thing is gone. And like we treat it in that kind of a dismissive way. And did you know that the veil between your conscious and your unconscious mind is the thinnest during your menstrual cycle? Do you know that's when you're most intuitive? Do you know that that's when you're your most creative? And yet the systems in place, the religious system, the patriarchal system, the societal seeds that have been planted in the psyche over time, the same way that the seeds were planted in the psyche of Black people to look at themselves lowly. I mean, you rape a woman in front of people. That's how you do it. You beat a man in front of people. That's how you plant seeds in the psyche of what is foul, what is good, what is bad, what to be scared of. So to plant the seed in the psyche of women to mistrust their body, to see their body as sinful and bad, to see the menstrual cycle as a nasty, filthy thing, is you shame it. You have the preacher in the church shaming it. You have the religious texts shaming it, making it a filthy thing. You know, we could go on and on and on. Half of this is in books. Okay, the other half of it, we know it intuitively, because part of the way to maintain power over a human being is in the mind. So I know we all read today. Most of us know how to read, but you need to understand, with the advent of Christianity, the people couldn't read. They learned through symbolism and through people talking to them. Preachers, pastors, local powerful people talking to them. And when the women would talk, and this is how one of the ways that they started to, banish the women for talking. They didn't like us congregating the same way. I'm telling you, there's so many similarities between the way chattel slavery worked and how they were able to maintain it, and the way Christianity was able to come in. And anything that has been abhorrent in history, human history, anything, chattel slavery, the Holocaust, the bringing on of Christianity, there was so much murder and symbolism and art and language used to program the people, because the modern people could not read and write. Like how, how today most people can read and write. It's actually a high number of adults who cannot. But the point is, how it's just normal that we can read and write. At the advent of Christianity, it was not normal for the everyday man and woman to be able to read and write. So they were programmed through storytelling, through symbols. That's why if you go to a lot of the old churches in Europe, and it's another reason why I love Europe, because it's old. America is a baby. The churches are riddled with symbols, riddled, and you can feel. I love going into the churches and just sitting there, and you can just absorb, and like you can pick up knowledge that you ain't read nowhere, but you can just pick it up if you're hypersensitive, and you can sit in the space and smell and feel. And this is how they taught the people. They would teach through sermons. They would teach through punishment. You punish her in front of people. This woman has medicine. She knows how to predict things that are going to happen. And she's talking to other women. They're gathered, talking about it, using herbs and knowing things. They don't like that. The same way in chattel slavery, they don't want y'all congregating. They don't want one of y'all knowing too much. We don't want you reading and writing. I'm telling you, it's the same psychology all the fucking time. Okay? Same psychology with women. And so now today, we're definitely afraid of our most potent tool, this right here. Well, one of our most potent tools, because the intuition, baby, you get that thing refined, boy, you can see through. Yeah, girl, you start feeling like you know too much. Like, turn the volume down, wait. And really, you only feel like that living in this world where everybody is lying all the fucking time. Anyway, so our bodies, if you really are planning, and this is if you're for real. Like, I talked to a woman yesterday who, she's already a keynote speaker. You know what I mean? So this is for you. If you're just like, I want to find my power, you might not be motivated to buy anything from me. That's what happens. But when you are already making money with your mission, you're already keynote speaking around the world, and you're kind of bored, right? Because what happens is when you stay at your living or dying, like if you're not growing, so when to everybody else, you look accomplished and successful, and you are. So this is not to say you're not, right? But only you know when you're not leveling up in the area that your soul is telling you to level up. And that's a personal thing. If you're really going to do that and talk about these power topics that this woman is saying she wants to talk about, okay? RACISM, okay? SCX power. Our authentic voice. Okay, she wants to talk about these topics not only on TikTok, but in her keynote talks around the world. um, in her workshops and her other activities. And then for those of you who maybe you don't have a speaking career or any kind of transformational company, but you want to be free, this is a deep and wide topic. So I apologize if it feels surface level. I'm already over time, and I'm just gonna let it be today. Um, the reason why I keep sending us to Shadow Gold is because the what you're drawn to in me, first of all, is in Shadow Gold. Second of all, you're not going to be able to hold power if you reject yourself at a body level. Think about the times with a man, even something as simple as you're at Starbucks or Target, right? You're out running errands and you hold your tongue somewhere out of fear, or your body tenses up because something happened, or right, something happened with your mom. That's another potent one, right? She maybe she disapproves of your mothering, how you mother her grandchildren, or does she just disapproves of you, right? Because she's still in rejection of herself. um, I could go on and on and on. The different ways where we get hit, right? um, the voice that you're looking for, the confidence, the courage that you're looking for, um, whatever it is that you're drawn to in me, it's going to start at your body. So if you have resolved sexual shame going on, that's going to interrupt your throat. If you have any kind of unconscious story, which we all do, some kind of unconscious story of scarcity, and scarcity is not just financial. Scarcity is you don't let love in, you don't let yourself have good things, you don't let yourself have good things for a long time, you don't trust compliments and goodness, you don't allow help, um, chronic skepticism, chronic judgment and blame. All that is scarce thinking, right? Money is like the evident, like my financial struggle. That's a evident. We easily can identify the scarcity in that. But scarcity shows up in so many other ways. A heart that has lots of barriers around it, that's scarcity. Um, Low energy, that's scarcity. A warped mind, that's scarcity. An inability to be with yourself, the fullness of yourself is scarcity. So this is widespread, okay? And if any of that is going on, that's why you can hear it when people talk. It's always there until you deal with it. You can hear when people talk. The language that they use is scarce. It's incomplete. It's not clear and direct. It's all symptomatic of scarcity going on inside the person. So then when you're like, why can't I be courageous in with this business move, with my job? Why can't I ask for this raise? Why can't I hold these boundaries with this man? And in an advanced way. Like I'm talking to women who are advanced, you know, and that's a whole other conversation about exactly what constitutes advanced by my definition. Um, but when all this stuff is going on, this is what gets in the way of you being able to speak about the thing, or I can see it and feel it so clearly, or going through this, like I'm pumped up, I'm excited, I'm ready to go, but you never actually go, and then you never sustain going. Um, Hi, Sage. I agree with you. Do you want to be an extreme activation point? Anybody here watching? That's exactly, I like that language. That's exactly what I want for every single woman on earth who is here to do very specific work in restoring the collective to rightness. If you want to talk to me, get a profile photo. You want a man to come up to you and ask for your number with a bag on his head? Try to have a conversation with you with a bag on his head? I know we talk about self actualization, I mean, that so many women have said to me inside the God Power Workshop, they're looking for self actualization. There's a large responsibility associated with true actualization. When I say actualization, I mean you really, like how this woman just said, you're a strong activation point. That's what self actualization looks like. You become a strong activation point. What's inside of shadow gold begins to get you to that. Then you need to go through shadow gold multiple times, which is another benefit because you have it forever. You have shadow gold forever. So, to begin to go from, I can feel it so deeply, I know it's for me, I just get stuck when it's time for me to take action. Or even as you sit here listening to me right now, is your womb tight? That's what I mean. Is your breathing shallow? That's what I mean. Are you like this a lot of times? This is what I mean. Are you on high alert often? This is what I mean. Do you create a lot of panic in your life? That's what I mean. This shit is so deep and wide. It's deep, deep and wide, and you're not going to see it until you really get into it, unless you've already had some episodes that have dragged your ass down to the dungeon of hell. Um, Recently, I'm gonna leave you with this. I'm gonna leave you with this. In 2014, was that 2014? Yeah, at the beginning of 2015, actually, I started working with a woman. She was my oldest client at that point. She was like 63 years old. And I was like really amazed because she was old enough to be my mom. She still is old enough to be my mom. And so this was the first time I had somebody old enough to be my mom as a client, at least that I can recall. If I did in the past, I don't remember it. And at the time, my brand was Heal, Sex, Shame. That was my brand at the time. Heal, Sex, Shame. And that's all she wanted to focus on was her own sexual trauma that she knew that she had repressed. And she she said one of her patterns in life was always being the cheerleader for other people, but never believing she could do it. And this was a woman who wanted to write a book. And she found me on Facebook, and it was just so many mind blowing things that was happening. And also at that time, I was doing a lot of wealth consciousness work because I was really like, I was making money, but I was ready to blow the fucking roof off financially. And so her even becoming a client at such a high level was evidence that my wealth consciousness work was working because one, she was old enough to be my mother. So that was different. Like it was an expanded, right? Um, she she was my first multiple five-figure client. She paid me 65. Actually, she ended up paying me over $75,000 over the life of our relationship. So when we first started working together, she paid 10,000, and then that was for 6 months of working together. And then at the end of that 6 months, she extended for a year, and that was $65,000. So that was like, right? My wealth consciousness is working. And we did so much work together. We ended up doing a video shoot at the Ritz Carlton in Miami Beach together, all about her liberating her voice. And it's really just amazing when you're working with somebody over time, right? Because we were working together for some time. And then they get to reflect back to you as they're getting results. And I remember in a video that she did, because the video was a 3-part, 4-part series. And she hadn't told this to me in advance. So I was like, wow, when I heard her talk about it on camera. And she had said that she didn't realize how, and remember, this woman is in her 60s. She didn't realize how much that she had pushed sexual trauma and sexual shame down into her body and had forgotten about it. And it was just controlling her whole life. This is why I have said for years, Carl Jung said, if you do not make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. and then you apply it to you. So if your struggle is, I can see it, I can feel it so deeply, I know it's for me, but I get stuck when it's time to take action. So if you don't make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it, I can see it and feel it so deeply, but when it's time to take action, I'm just stuck. I'm blocked. If you don't make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will say, I can't afford it. If you don't make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will say, niggas ain't shit. If you don't make what's unconscious to you, invisible to you, controlling you from underneath, if you do not make it conscious, it will rule your life and you will get to 50, 60, 70 years old regretting and resenting yourself. Shadow gold is home base to make the unconscious conscious, starting at the body. She said, I didn't realize how deeply I had repressed this stuff. I just didn't even realize it. And working with Naima, I was able to use the tools and her guidance to help me go down deeper. Because when you are in a web of your own creation, and this is not to blame, whenever trauma happens, the traumatized person creates a safety for his or herself to be able to continue going on in life. So hyperskepticism is a form of safety for a lot of people. Having up a wall that makes them feel safe, there's a reason for the putting up of that wall. Some kind of harm, some kind of abuse, some kind of... So that's why I have lots of compassion around it, because no 2-year-old just naturally has up walls, right? If you get to 10 and you got up walls, something happened. So it's so difficult, especially the longer you wear the trauma. So she's 62, which means she's been wearing this for decades. Okay. So the longer you wear it, the more strength that it gains, which means the harder it is to pull that thing apart, which is why she came to me. She found me on Facebook, ended up finding my radio show, was like, I gotta work with this woman, contacted me, and that's how we started working together. And she said, working with Naima and the guidance, we were able to go down so deep, and I didn't even realize how deep this stuff had gotten buried inside of me. And this was a white woman, I want to add. Okay. And so it was like another, like, wow, like just so much. I'm like, even like getting some chills as I'm talking about this, because, and this is why I can hold the standard for you guys for real. I'm not like just trying to cheerlead you on and I believe in you. I'm talking to you from experience. I know you can make a bounty of money. I know you can crush it online. I know you can draw people from all over the world. I know you can do it. I know you can go from being terrified to be on camera. What am I even going to say? I hate my voice. Are people even going to listen? That was me in May of 2011. Matter of fact, it was me before I even did my first YouTube video in May. It was like March. What am I actually going to say? And if you go, I have an old YouTube channel. So there's the one that everything goes up on now, but there's an older one that has maybe 200 and something videos on it. And the very first video is May 5th, 2011. And God, the level of torture. What am I gonna? That was 12 years ago. And now I have thousands of videos all over the internet, inside of courses, on other people's Facebook walls that we did collaboratively, on Instagram, everywhere. I mean, good God. I mean, you have no idea. You have some idea, right? Especially if you've worked with me or you've been following for some years, but you just have no idea. This shit is profound. And it's all going on in the fullness of you. You're going to start in the body. If your body says no, the answer is no. If your body says no money, you ain't gonna make the money. If your body says no visibility, you ain't gonna get visible. If the body says I'm not doing it, it ain't getting done. No matter how much you like, I need to make more money. I want to be visible. I got dreams. I want to be powerful. I want to. If the body says no, the answer is no. You got to start at the body. Open your legs. Let it in. Breathe. Soften up. Yes or no? Okay, so you need to get shadow gold. Uh, I want you to book a call with me. If you want to talk to me about how I think or what you think or questions you have about shadow gold, about your specific problem, fears, delays at a body level, at a mental level, um, and really get into some nuanced details, just know I'm telling you to get shadow gold right now. So that's it. That's it, and that's all. If you like, I don't have the money, save up the money to get it. Okay. Um, and you know something I'm gonna do. I wish I would have had this set up so it could be up now, but it will be. I am going to allow people to do. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about it now because I don't know how I'm going to do it exactly, but I'm excited to announce it when it's time to announce it. So, alrighty, look at this. I have been here for 35 minutes. All good. So, I'm here every weekday at 8 a.m. Pacific. And I look forward to connecting with you all tomorrow here on TikTok, Facebook, 8 a.m. Take good care. All right.